call the meeting to order at 7:03, and if you can, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Samantha, can we have a roll call, please?
Ken Carroll,
Yes. Yes.
Angelo DeSerio,
Here.
John Stanton,
Here.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Here.
Jeff Peterson,
Here.
Bill Thomas.
Here. Okay, the first order of business is I need a motion for the approval of the May 9th, 2024 Plan Commission meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Angelo, second by Jeff, Commissioner Peterson, excuse me. Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, the motion for,
For approval of the May 9th,
Okay, May 9th.
2024 meeting.
I missed that part. Angelo DeSerio,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Abstain.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we have two cases on the agenda for tonight. But first, I would just like to apologize to both applicants for having to postpone our original June meeting twice. And I know you're both anxious to get these cases heard by us so they can get on to the city council. And normally, we would have moved it to July, but in spite of the debates, we decided to come here instead. So we are going to do our best to get these cases through in a very timely fashion. The first case is number V-24-2-6-1, a request of AB Shuttle Amatrosing Meta seeking approval of a variation from section 8.3 to 9.1 of the Crest Hill zoning ordinance for installation of bollards on the B2 General Business District zoned property located at 2378 Plainfield Road, Crest Hill, Illinois. Samantha, is all the paperwork in order?
All the necessary paperwork is in order.
All right, thank you. So I would like to have a motion to open the public hearing for this case. Motion by Commissioner Carroll,
Second.
second by Commissioner Peterson. Roll call, please.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Angelo DeSerio,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Public hearing is opened at 7:06 PM. I would like to ask our interim Community and Economic Development Director, Ron Menster, to present the specifics of this case. Ron?
Thank you, Chair. Looks like it's on. Test.
No? Doesn't seem like it's on.
Maybe that's a sign.
Yeah, we are not jinxed. We're moving ahead.
Actually, I'm going to turn this one over to Zoe since she's been coordinating with the applicant directly on this and is more familiar with it and certainly capable to present this.
Thank
Good
you, Zoe.
evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The project, as stated, is a dental office at 2378 Plainfield Road. They had a vehicle versus building incident, and since then applied for a permit to place bollards around the building. We approved the permit for the front and side of the building. However, along the Caton Farm Road side, the bollards would be closer than our zoning ordinance allows for an accessory use of that sort. So they are coming now before you to ask for the variance to that zoning ordinance, which would allow them to place those bollards closer to the property line. Ordinance states a minimum setback of 5 feet. The building itself is actually closer than that. So if they place them where they are applying to do so, they would be approximately a foot on one side and inches away on the other. So I entertain any questions at this time. And I see Mr. Meta has stepped to the platform and is also ready to speak.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, and introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Amitoj Mehta. I'm an orthodontist. I started practicing at Crest Hill. So we had the incident last October 3rd or 4th, when a car came in from the front side, which already has bollards in. But then, considering that this happened once, luckily, with God's grace, nothing bad happened. Everybody was okay. But we would just want more bollards around the side, the Canton Farm side, which is closer to the property line. But just to save the building and save any mishap in the future, considering that cars are on good speed on that road, to protect the building and protect any harm to anybody.
Okay, commissioners, you have any questions?
I have a comment. I went out there and looked. You did a really good job. I think what you did really looks good.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can say this, but I think you deserve to protect your building and. Good
Thank
job.
you so much. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
John, any question?
Wow. Obviously, patrons walk along your building are protected too.
Yes.
Angelo?
I have nothing, Commissioner.
Sure.
I have a question. I was just curious on the material of these bollards. What are they made of? Iron, steel, cement?
So what when I discussed it, the bollards, the way that's placed, it's a few feet in the ground, and they're made of commercial grade bollards, which you use. They're made of cement, metal, and they have a coping, a plastic coping, which makes it look more aesthetic. But the bollard itself is not very thick, but it's in the ground, a few feet, which gives it more sturdiness. But then there's a plastic coping over it just to make it more aesthetic.
Okay, thank you.
Ken? Okay, I have a few for you. I didn't see in the request the height. Are these, they're all going to be the same height, correct?
Same height, sir, yes.
Okay. So when I looked through a lot of the comments from the staff, including what just Zoe said, it appears to me that the most significant one we need to be sure to follow is what they refer to as the clear zone.
Okay.
And quite honestly, I wasn't quite sure what the best definition was, so I went online and it says that the clear zone is defined as the total roadside border starting at the edge of the traveled way available for safe use by errant vehicles. I would say that pretty well describes what the problem was you were having. So according to our city engineer, you are outside the clear zone, and in my opinion, I think that's the most important of the ones that we have to consider tonight. In looking at the zoning ordinance, it states that the Plan Commission shall recommend and the City Council shall grant a variation only when it has been determined and recorded in writing that all of the following standards are complied with. Number one, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used under the conditions already in place. I think that's a big yes. I think if we don't make your building safer, it could be a serious thing. The plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The location of that building, I would have to say, is pretty doggone unique,
Yes.
and that the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality, and I think that's absolutely true, and I concur with what Commissioner Peterson said. I've been by there a few times, and it looks really nice, it looks really safe.
Thank you.
So is there any questions from anybody in the audience? City staff, Ron, Mike, any questions before we close the public hearing?
No questions.
No.
Okay. Since there are no further questions, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, do you want to,
Nope.
at least for the record, ask if anyone here wishes to make a...
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, just before I asked you.
Okay, I guess I was asleep.
Yep, that's all right.
I thought maybe Steve Golden would step up.
He gave me a thumbs up. I think he's for it. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner DeCerio, second by Commissioner Slabozowski. Roll call, please.
Angelo DeSirio,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, public hearing closed at 7:14.
Thank you.
Is there any more discussion? Oh, do you have another?
No, he was gonna leave.
Oh, yeah, you can, well, hang on just a minute.
One more.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if we can send you off with some good news here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, I think I've gone through all my questions and points I wanted to make. So with everything that we've talked about, can I have a motion to approve the request from Mr. Maida for approval of a variation from section 8.3 to 9.1 of the Crest Hill zoning ordinance for the installation of 22 6-inch bollards on the north side of the property along Caton Farm Road for the property located at 2378 Plainfield Road, Crest Hill, Illinois, based on everything we've said.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Peterson, second by Commissioner Slabozowski. Roll call, please.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Angelo DeSirio,
Yes.
Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, so the Plan Commission has approved your request for the approval of the variation. Our recommendation, and let me just remind you, we are recommending bodies only, but we will send our recommendation to the city council. Do we have any idea when this might come before the city council? Next,
Probably the second meeting, third Monday in July.
so not this Monday, but 2 Mondays from this Monday. So encourage you to be there to answer any questions, and we'll keep our fingers crossed until you get those bollards up, so,
Thank you. Yes, hopefully nothing happens and it's all good.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. The second case is PUD 24-2-6-1, a request of Midwest Industrial Funds seeking preliminary and final planned unit development, special use permit, and zoning variation approvals for a new speculative industrial/warehouse building on the vacant property known as Lot 17 in the Crest Hill Industrial Park, located at the south termination of Advantage Avenue in Crest Hill, Illinois. Samantha, is the paperwork in order?
Yes, the necessary paperwork is in order.
Okay, then I would like to have a motion to open the public hearing for case PUD 24-2-6-1.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Carroll, second by Commissioner Peterson. Roll call, please.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Angelo Desario,
Yes.
Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So the subject of this public hearing is to discuss PUD-24-2-6-1. Ron, are you going to explain this one? Okay, so
Yeah.
our interim Community and Economic Development Director, Ron Metzger, will present the specifics.
I'll provide a overview of the request, and of course, there's 3 representatives of Midwest Industrial Funds here tonight that can fill in any details that I miss or address any questions that the commission may have regarding the project. So this is a project that staff has been communicating with Midwest Industrial Funds representatives for 5 or 6 months now. Gotten to a point where the project's been massaged. They had a concept plan review before the city council 8 weeks ago. The council seemed to be receptive to the concept of this project on that 8.8-acre piece of property at the south termination of Advantage Drive, one of the few remaining vacant properties in the Crest Hill Industrial Park. The underlying property is zoned M1, which is the zoning classification that this type of building and these types of uses are listed as a permitted use. So there's no special approvals for the type of uses that would be happening here, no special use permit needed for the proposed operations that they're envisioning take place on the property once it gets built. The property is large enough, though, that the city zoning ordinance requires it to be processed as a planned unit development. So the applicant has requested special use permit approval of the planned unit development plans for the project. Those plans are the plans that were submitted by the applicant, distributed to the Plan Commission with the agenda packet that you have before you. And those are the plans that were the basis for the Plan Commission staff report that we prepared and distributed for tonight's meeting. That report has a June 13th date on it. As part of the project, they're looking to build a 150,000 square foot speculative office warehouse distribution type facility. It would most likely end up being occupied by multiple tenants. It would be similar in appearance, not size, but appearance to the similar building that MIF is currently constructing on the 34-acre site just to the immediate east of this particular site. In conjunction with the project design, they have submitted a request for 2 variations. One, which would allow the building to have a reduced front yard setback along the Advantage Avenue frontage right adjacent to the cul-de-sac. In the M1 district, there's a 30-foot required front yard setback. Along that little cul-de-sac bulb, the building that they're proposing to construct would have a 15-foot setback. And then the second variation is for a parking lot pavement drive aisle setback along the south property line, which is the rear property line. The zoning ordinance normally would require a 5-foot setback along that property line, and what they're proposing is a 0-foot setback. I think it's important to note along that property line, that property line is adjacent to an off-site detention facility, so there's no additional development located to the south. The hardships that they've represented for the property is that although it's a relatively large property, 8.8 acres, it's a relatively narrow property. Normally, for this type of development, you would not, when you're subdividing property and creating lots, you wouldn't create lots with this type of configuration, long and narrow. That just makes the functionality of the buildings challenging. So they're trying to create a building footprint that would work efficiently in the marketplace. And in order to do that, they need to stretch the building and encroach into those 2 setbacks that I had outlined. From a staff perspective, we think there's a unique conditions with this lot and a hardship that does exist and warrants the approval of those variations. Overall, the project is will be a positive addition from an economic development standpoint, and I think would be a high-quality use for this particular lot. There are a number of other proposals that the city has considered, none of which were as attractive from an economic development and a tax generation standpoint as what's being proposed here tonight. For the most part, the plans are all in order with the city's regulations. There are a number of cleanup items that need to be taken care of before the plans are finalized and permits would be constructed or issued. But those cleanup items are relatively minor in nature and won't change the design of the building. It's small specifications and things of that nature. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Staff is recommending, does feel that the recommendation from the Plan Commission to approve this project would be appropriate. And in the staff report, we did identify 6 conditions that we would recommend from a staff perspective be attached to any positive recommendation that the city's Plan Commission forwards to the City Council on this particular project. So with that, I address any questions you might have.
Okay, any questions for Ron? Steve, if you or whoever else is going to come up, please make sure you're signed in.
Well, my Pat signing in here. Thank you again for having this meeting. I know some issues with quorums and stuff, and we really appreciate you coming here for this special meeting tonight to hear these cases, so we really...
Can I stop you for a minute? If you raise your right hand, make sure you're telling the truth. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, continue, Steve, thanks.
So truthfully, we really appreciate you guys coming here and having this special meeting for us. With me here tonight is Mike Andowich. Mike is one of the co-owners of Midwest Industrial Properties, or Midwest Industrial Funds, and Pat Swizz, one of his right-hand people, is here to answer any questions or just facilitate any type of discussion. Just to remind, as Ron had said, we were here about 1 year ago, and we received approvals from Planning and Zoning as well as from the City Council for the 577,000 square foot building that's right adjacent to this property. If you had a chance to go out to the business park, it's a very impressive building. These guys do a great job in building, keeping the streets clean, following all of Crest Hill's codes. It's under roof, very, very impressive building that this company has put together. And this building will be the same type of quality, same type of professionalism in building it. So again, this property is right adjacent to this 577 or the 577 building, 8.8 acres. And Pat and Mike are here to answer any questions or facilitate any discussions.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Council, for being here today. I'm glad we can make it out 3rd time's a charm, hopefully. Here today, my name is Patrick Swiss. I'm a development manager at Midwest Industrial Funds. Like Ron mentioned, we're seeking approval for a 150,000 square foot speculative facility on this lot. The 2 variances that Ron brought up are very important to us as this site has a very tricky, long and narrow configuration. With these variances, this allows us to meet an industry standard or get very close to trying to have a 200-foot depth building. We can't get to 200 feet. We get to 192, and without these variances, we can't even get close. I mean, we'd have to lose another 25 feet, 30 feet, which is not what we're looking for. So with these tricky, narrow configurations, we really need these variances. The site has been vacant since the creation of the business park due to this configuration. The uses that we're targeting here is manufacturing, like TLC ingredients to the north. Obviously, it's a speculative nature, so we'll be targeting manufacturing, food users, warehousing, light assembly. The building, since it's not 200 feet or very close to it, it's very shallow in nature, so the building is catered to be multi-tenant. This building most likely will be 3 or 4 tenants. With the configuration like this building is catered towards manufacturers with high-paying jobs. This isn't the Amazon across the street. This isn't the most intense use. We don't have trailer parking away from this building like the Amazon facility. So we're really hoping that you guys see the value in this building, and like Ron mentioned, hoping bringing a good tax base and finishing out the last lot in the business park in Crest Hill.
Okay. Questions? Jeff?
Nope. Nope.
Angela?
I have one question.
Start with Ken. No, go ahead.
There was reference to working with TLC in order to make a connection to Ladis Parkway. Have you started on that, or?
So Crest Hill has actually started those conversations, and Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Maura reached out to TLC, and they were active to talking with us. So once we know what exactly that communication is, we'll talk with TLC and try to figure out some possible additional access on the northeast to connect to Chernobyl.
Yeah, the community I live in is right adjacent to Division Street, and we'd like to keep as much traffic off of Division as we can, because we got a lot of 80-year-olds over there, and they don't match too well with a lot of trucks or a lot, some heavy vehicular traffic. So I'm glad to hear that that's in the works. Thank you.
Cheryl?
How long do you think it'll take to build this facility?
A year, about a year. Our anticipated start time would be here in the fall, and completion in late summer, almost a year.
I have nothing.
Okay, I've got a few. Let's talk about, I was very impressed with the traffic study. Let's talk about a few things in there I did not see. So when a truck leaves your facility on Advantage Drive and goes east, when it gets to Weber Road, which way do you anticipate these trucks going? Straight, left, or right? Do you have an idea based on what you're going to have in them?
Since it's a speculative building in nature, I can't foreshadow which direction they'll be going. It is our understanding that most of the users, the attractiveness about this lot is that it's located really close to I-55, so we believe most of the traffic will be making a left on Advantage and heading west towards
I-55.
Towards I-55.
Okay.
Because if you're heading towards the east, that's more than double the amount of mileage to get to 55 at Weber Road, or if you're heading south to get back onto Plainfield, the easiest path would be due west. But I can't speak for what exactly is going to happen, but that's what we
the intersection of Division and Weber is a little bit of a problem for us. There seems to be a lot of car traffic going straight, and we don't own the property southwest, so we can't put a right turn lane in there. So we're getting a lot of complaints from Carolina Lakes. People that want to go to Menards sometimes have to wait 2 lights because there's so much traffic going straight. And so I was just curious, and you've answered my question about when they get to Gaylord, they're going to continue on Division to connect with I-55. All right, so I think you've already answered all the rest of that stuff that I was going to ask you. I know the city engineer had some questions off of your original PUD submission, and you responded to those questions. I don't think, unless you've gotten a response, I don't think he's finished his review on that yet. And so, I mean, basically gonna have a couple of weeks before it comes before the city council. So that's certainly something we have to watch out for. Yeah, okay, so that's all I have for now. Is there anybody in the audience wants to make a comment about this? And I think we scared them all off with all the trouble we were having. So if there's nobody in the staff, any more questions?
No.
Without any more questions, let me have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner DeCerio, second by Commissioner Slabozowski. Roll call, please.
Angelo DeCerio,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, so Ron mentioned it. Before we give you our decision, he mentioned the 6 conditions, and I believe those 6 conditions were sent to you. And I don't think we heard anything back that you couldn't do, but I would like to take a moment and we're gonna read these 6 conditions so that they get in the minutes. And to start us off, I'm gonna ask for Commissioner DeCerio to read the first 3.
Number 1, loading dock restriction. The maximum number of loading docks permitted for speculative industrial warehouse office buildings shall not exceed 34 for the PUD. Any increase in the number of loading docks above 34 will require a new public hearing and approval of a PUD amendment. Number 2, truck route monetary contribution. Unless otherwise approved by the city council, MIF shall make a monetary contribution to the city that the city can use for the design, construction, and/or land acquisition for the city's planned future truck route extension to Weber Road. The details of this monetary contribution shall be finalized in a development agreement reviewed and approved by the city council. Number 3, Ladis Parkway driveway connection. MIF shall make contact and have meaningful communication with TLC ownership regarding that MIF is prepared to obtain TLC's approval for a driveway connection between the subject property and Ladis Parkway. MIF shall summarize the details of these communications in writing for City Council reference during its consideration and potential approval of the Plan Commission's recommendation on this product.
Commissioner Slabozowski?
On number 4, final design documents approval. Approval of the requested preliminary and final PUD special use permit is subject to final civil engineering design plan, photometric/electrical plan, and associated planning approved by city staff and consultants. Number 5, project signage. All signage proposals shall comply with applicable sign code regulations of the Crest Hill Sign Code regulations. And final, number 6, compliance with plans. The development, maintenance, and operation of the project shall be in substantial compliance with the plans and documents included in the project submittal checklist dated June 5th, 2024, as may be revised to address city staff, city attorney, and city consultant review comments and city council special use permit approval conditions.
All right, thank you. So again, hopefully these isn't the first time you've been hearing that. I want to make a comment about the Ladis Parkway connection and how important that is to us. The building that you're almost done with is going to meet our current restrictions, which is when a truck comes out of there and wants to go east, they have to exit on Enterprise Drive. And when a truck comes out of there and wants to go west, they have to exit on Chernovic Road. And that was put in place for Amazon and Old Dominion because the subdivision Carolina Lakes exit is right between all of that. And as Commissioner Carroll said, a lot of concern about old people coming out of there, getting tired of waiting and darting out one way, not seeing somebody coming from the other direction. So this will be a little bit against what we've been requiring. I've already gotten a phone call from some people at Carolina Lake saying they heard there's more trucks coming. And I said, well, but there's not going to be as many trucks as the previous ones, but we are working towards the future resolving this. And they didn't object after I said that, so I hope that's the case. But it's really critical that what the end result is, we need to finish this road. Thank you for your contribution coming out the south and coming out onto Weber Road that way and getting all this traffic as much as we can off Division Road. Okay, so we did that. So before I bring this up for a vote with the commissioners, I just want again to say thank you for Midwest Industrial Funds for your commitment to the city of Crest Hill. As you build yet another facility in our business park, Ron mentioned it, and I think Steve mentioned it, for you guys to want to work with Lot 17 and do all you did to make that work. I thought maybe that lot was going to be there forever and be turned into a park or something, but you're going to turn it into a very valuable asset. So I want to thank you for doing that. So having said that, I would like to have a motion to approve the request from Midwest Industrial Funds for the preliminary and final planned unit development, special use permit, and zoning variation approvals for a speculative industrial/warehouse building on the vacant property known as Lot 17 in the industrial park located at the south termination of Advantage Avenue in Crest Hill.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Carroll,
Second.
second by Commissioner Peterson. Roll call, please.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Angelo DeSerio,
Yes.
and Bill Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So the Plan Commission has approved your request located at the south termination of Advantage Avenue, and those approvals are for preliminary and final planned unit development special use permit, a zoning variation approval for a front yard building setback variation that would allow the building to be set back 15 feet from the Advantage Avenue property line, and for the zoning variation approval for a rear yard parking setback that would allow the parking lot drive aisle pavement to have a 0 setback from the south property line of the property. So we will forward our recommendation to the city council. It sounds like they will also hear your case on July 15th, and I know you folks will probably be there to do that. So congratulations, and again, thank you for supporting our city.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, before we move on, I just want to make a record that the publications of the public hearings for both items tonight were originally published for our regularly set meeting of June 13th. Because of a lack of a quorum, both the website for Crest Hill and the doors to our chambers here were posted to notify anybody that was going to be here for the public hearings published for that night that they were moved to the 20th, which was last Thursday. Due to a lack of quorum last Thursday, the same process was followed. Our clerk posted on the doorway here notice that those public hearings were being moved to today's date, and that was also posted on the website. My understanding is Mr. Golden actually came to the chambers both days to see if anyone showed up, and I think he's still under oath and can say for the record, for the period of time that he was here, nobody showed up for those hearings. So we've proceeded today because we believe that the public has been properly notified, and all the paperwork was in order, as the clerk stated earlier, for both of our public hearings tonight. So I just wanted to make that on the record, just so we've got it in the minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, for other business, let me go back and ask our attorney to comment about the Plan Commission bylaws.
Okay, so the chairman brought to my attention that our bylaws, not only our bylaws, your bylaws, not only had a couple of things that needed to be changed because you changed the regular meetings from the Wednesday to a Thursday, and the bylaws still had the old meeting date. He also suggested that, since the secretary position doesn't really have much in the way of duties, that perhaps that should be eliminated. I said that if we were going to do at least those changes, we probably should look at the bylaws top to bottom and make any other changes and just do everything all at once. So I went through, since I had no hand in writing those bylaws, I have no idea how old they are. I went through and I cleaned up some things that I thought should be cleaned up, including the process by which the bylaws are amended. So the way the bylaws currently are written, the only way they can be amended is if 3 members of the commission sign off on a proposed amendment and then bring it to a regular meeting. Once everybody has it for review at that regular meeting, it can be up for discussion that day, but it can't be voted on until the next meeting. So that's the old process. What I proposed in doing it in a revision is that rather than having 3 members have to bring it to the Plan Commission, any one member can say, hey, at a regularly scheduled meeting, I propose a bylaw change. It can be voted up or down at that meeting. It can be tabled, so it can be discussed and evaluated further, but it just seems too cumbersome to have to get 3 people to sign off on a document just to bring it to the attention of the group for a discussion. So that was one of the changes that I proposed. So just because 3 members sign the proposed amendment doesn't mean that you have to vote for all those changes. If you think that the changes, say there's 5 changes, if 3 of them are okay, you could vote for 3, but not the other 2. So just by signing it, it doesn't mean that you're either have to vote yes on the whole thing or yes at all on that. So I guess the thought would be, the chairman has already expressed a willingness to sign. If 2 members would be willing to sign that, for the next meeting, it can be on the agenda for a discussion, and then the meeting after that, you could vote on which changes that you want to do. So that's the suggestion. So I decided that since it's not on the agenda formally tonight because we didn't get 3 signatures, because I think there was some confusion among the board members as to why we were doing this, and if you signed it, does that mean you have to go along with them? So I said we could just cover an initial discussion under other business tonight, even though you can't act on anything. I thought I'd throw it out there for the group, and we can decide whether we can get 2 more signatures on the proposed red line changes that I did, and then it can be on next month's agenda for discussion. So thoughts?
So are we not able to put it on the agenda next month for discussion and approval?
Not for approval, because right now, until it's amended, till the amendment is made, you can't do it on one day. It's the way it's set up is it comes for discussion on one meeting and it gets approved at the next. Okay. So if we can get the 2 more signatures, and again, you don't have to sign it tonight, but if we can get, somebody's got a copy.
Hopefully two more people will sign it tonight, so we don't have to keep.
Right, and then my proposal would be then that it would just be an other business agenda item for our next meeting. Again, I don't know whether we have agenda items for.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so it would be just under other business. We could discuss all the proposed changes. They can get voted up or down, as to all of them, some of them, and I shouldn't say voted, discussed, everybody's opinions up or down, and then once we can do like a straw vote and see who wants what, and then we would have the final version as discussed in the next meeting for for the August meeting. Does all that make sense? And then hopefully, at the very least, if you agree to change the meeting date, which I think everyone is probably in agreement, because we got to have the right meeting date. And if we agree to change the procedure by which we amend the bylaws, if at least those two get passed, then we won't have to go through this cumbersome process the next time somebody decides that there needs to be an amendment. So,
And then between Mike and I mean, we just cleaned the document up. The meeting place had the old city hall. There was no date on the document. There was no signatures on the document. I've done a lot of bylaws.
no page numbers,
They have to be signed, they have to be dated.
and no
So-
page numbers, so you don't know how many
Yeah,
pages there
no
are.
page number. So again, we don't know who did this, but it was not really a legal document, the way it was written as far as bylaws go, so, okay. So do you have a master copy of it that we'll come by and we'll sign it, three of
I
us?
do.
And then the other thing is we're supposed to hold elections in May of every year. We did in May of 2022. Jan made us follow the rules, but apparently since I took over, I'm pretty lax. So, so we need to have staff elections.
So, yeah, there will be on the agenda for next month, the agenda item will be reorganization of the Plan Commission,
And
which
we
would be,
can vote on that in our July meeting?
yes,
Okay,
take nominations and votes
okay.
for the positions. Now, the one thing that I think will need to get discussed is whether we're going to eliminate the secretary position, which is one of the proposals in the bylaws. You know, you may want to wait until the bylaws are done to actually, or whether you have a consensus to change that portion, because,
Yeah, I think if we do the straw vote, and the straw vote passes, then we can move ahead with the
Right.
election.
otherwise you'll have to elect a secretary, and then if
And
you want to de-elect somebody, if that's even a word, at the
Yeah.
next meeting, once the bylaws are passed. But again, I think that we should have clarity as to whether the position's going to,
The
or
other
the-
open question was, where does the executive secretary come from? Have we?
I think that's still being
Still being decided?
worked on at the city staff level.
Okay.
That's the
questions
that's the
on that?
diplomatic way of putting it off to another day, because I don't have the answer, unless Sam knows something I don't.
No, I haven't been told anything. I just
Okay.
assumed the position, so.
It's above my pay grade, but I will remind
Yeah, okay. I
the
haven't seen anything. yet.
interim city administrator that that needs to be a topic.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about this? I mean, it really bothered me that that document was not right, was not up to date, and even the procedure of the meetings is not what we follow. So I think for the next generations that come in, we want to leave them with a little clearer-cut direction of what the Plan Commission meetings are.
And from my perspective, I don't like piecemeal amendments. If you amend something once and then 2 months later you find something else, I think that the best way to do it is
Yep. No.
look at the whole document, make all the changes that you guys want, and then we get it passed.
Yeah, you should have received the clean copy and the red line copy. If you don't think that, we can send you copies of each again. Why don't we just do that?
Okay.
Just to make sure the clean and, they both have Mike Stiff revised June 24 on them. One does, the red line is May. Yeah, we'll send them out again new. So you, red line, you can see what we eliminated and what we added, and then it looks nice and clean in that one. Okay. Last item, public comments. The public is gone, so I guess we don't need to worry about that. So can I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Peterson makes the
second.
motion, second by Commissioner DeCirio. Roll call, please.
Jeff Peterson,
Yes.
Angelo DeCirio,
Yes.
Cheryl Slabazeski,
Yes.
Ken Carroll,
Yes.
John Stanton,
Yes.
Bill Thomas.
Yes,
Motion carried.
meeting adjourned at 7:52. Okay.